Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Modified Tile Bag and Board Scrabble. Today I'll be taking on Quackle in a game where every single tile in the bag is worth 1 point. So we're going to have 1 point Qs, 1 point Xs, and 1 point Zs. It's going to be pretty wild. The blanks are still going to be worth 0 points, but every single other tile is going to be worth 1. And the frequency of all the tiles in the bag is exactly the same. So there are going to be some similarities to regular Scrabble, but there's also going to be quite a lot of differences. I'll be playing against Championship Player instead of Speedy, just because the notion of equity here, as it does in a lot of the other variants, is going to completely break down. So I think Speedy Player is going to be pretty weak, and Championship Player will probably give me a more interesting game. So for that reason, we'll be taking on Champ, and let's get started. Wow, this looks so bizarre. Everything is just worth 1. Yeah, seeing the 1 next to the Z and the W is so weird. Like, normally, obviously, I would just play Wiz. Or Zig, probably Wiz. But, like, do I play Wiz for 6? Do I play ZD for 8? Or Twig for 8? Do I trade? Like, what do I do? So, I guess, okay, let's think about this game big picture, right, in terms of the strategy. I kind of think it's going to be very bingo heavy with the scoring, because with everything worth 1 point, it doesn't really matter almost whether you have a lot of overlaps, whether you cover triple word scores. I mean, it matters, but like you're never going to get more than probably around 20 points, maybe 30 if you get a crazy overlap on a triple, but for the most part, players are going to be scoring in the teens, if that even, without bingoing. So it's probably often best to like just exchange. I feel like here I should trade 5 and keep ET. And just go for a bingo. I mean, obviously the Z is not worth it to keep in this game. Like, normally you could consider keeping the Z. But the Z with 10 points is a lot different than the Z with 1 point. Like, the Z is actually a horrible tile here. So, yeah, I think I'm going to just trade 5? Maybe 4. Yeah, because the I is actually not as bad now. Because, like, the 1 point tiles definitely improve in this game. Yeah, I think I'm going to trade 4. Like, I just don't think it's worth it to play Wiz for just 6. I mean, I guess the one nice thing about Wiz is that it does maybe restrict some of his bingo options, but also gives him some floaters. So yeah, I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to trade 4. And let's see what Quackle comes up with here. So not the best draw for us. No bingos, I don't think. I guess co-edited with a C in the event that we get one. Otherwise, I don't think there's much. Yeah, Quackle trades 2. So now I think it's probably right to play Do or Ode for 6. I could play, like, normally I'd maybe play Diode or Doided because the D is worth 2. But here those plays are only worth 12 and 14 respectively. So I think it's better to play Ode for 6. There's no reason not to play Ode. I mean, even, like, I could actually play it here. Which I know looks crazy, right? But in this game, it doesn't really matter so much whether I put vowels or consonants next to double letter scores. Because even if he plays Jaw there, in a normal game, that would be like 50. In this game, that's like 12. So it doesn't actually matter. I mean, it's probably easier for him to overlap Ode than Do in general, though, so I should probably play Do. Just because the 2 vowels next to each other are a little bit trickier than vowel, consonant, vowel. So yeah, probably Do. I like putting the O in the middle there. Just because it's harder for him to get that to either triple. I think that seems fine. Do for 6. And let's see. What do I have here? I have a famous phony once. I remember Josh Sokol, shout out to Josh, got away with diabetes. D-I-A-B-E-T-E once as a phony. And I could play that, but I think Quackle would challenge it off. So I'm not going to try that. Unfortunately, diabetes doesn't fit to this S, nor does beatiest, because that would make DI. Rebaited doesn't fit either. So, unfortunately, I don't think I can bingo, which is too bad. I could consider playing Tapered. Now, normally, this would be 40 points. Here it's 28, which actually is not bad. Like, for this game, 28 points without a bingo is insanely good. So I think that's probably worth it. My next best options are just pretty weak. Like, I'm already down a lot. I don't want to let this deficit get much larger. I guess ideally I'd want to play off BIE or BAE, neither of which are particularly easy to play off for any reasonable number of points. I mean, I don't want to play Brie for 8. That's not worth it. And the nice thing about Tapered is I don't have to worry about X-bombs with Axe next to that A, because, again, the X is worth 1 point, not 8. So I think this is fine. Oh, a nice draw. We have Barista. And it'll play at minimum next to the D in Do. Not sure if it plays anywhere else at the moment. So hopefully that stays open. But we will see what Quackle does. Lurex for 9. Let's go. That's so funny. It's like, I'm still not used to it. He played Lurex. I'm like, dang it, he scored 30. I'm like, wait, no, he scored 9. This is hilarious. Okay, so, yeah, I guess Barista, the question is where? Probably on the left? I mean, it's a little bit easier to overlap if I play it here, but I'm not that worried about overlaps. It's probably, actually, maybe not, because it's I don't know which way it's easier for him to bingo with. Probably it's harder for him to bingo this way, because then he can't start with the B, the A, or the R. Although I guess he can't end with the R if I play it in the other spot. I'm not sure it actually matters all that much. Although it's a little bit harder for him to overlap and score points this way. So I think I'm going to go with... Is it harder? Because now he has to start with an A. But it's still pretty easy if he has an A for him to play like a 3 or a 4 there. Which again, isn't going to score a ton of points because they'll all be 1-pointers. But like something like a late for this game would be probably around 30. Which is a very large score for a non-bingo. And if I play Barista here... The thing is, the third tile would have to be an E. I guess either way he can overlap. And it is, like, probably a little harder for him to triple-triple if I play it here. Because it's, I think, easier to start with AB or OB or something like that than it is to have a B in the 7th position. So I think I'm going to play it here. Okay, so we draw a blank. And it looks like... he does bingo. Dang it. I think if I had played it in the other spot, he wouldn't have gotten Vanners down. I guess I didn't consider the fact that 7s ending in an S could still play. I'm not sure how big a factor that really is, to be honest. But, okay. So, I'm down a bit. I'm not down a ton, though. Certainly well within striking distance. Unfortunately, I have too many vowels. And, yeah, I can't really score a lot of points with everything being a 1-pointer. It's like I'm naturally drawn to a place here like Oxo, because it's an X, and I think it's worth 8, but this actually only scores 5 points. Ob Ovoid would be nice, but doesn't quite work. So, yeah, I mean, how do I score more than, like, 6 or 8? Cooler for 10? I don't know. I probably, like, I could also just exchange and go all in on bingoing. I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of bingo spots. Maybe I can draw a 9 through the R and the N. Or I could draw something on the top left. Maybe under the S and E Pern. So there are still some places to bingo. It's not completely dire yet. And, I mean, I just don't see anywhere to score more than 8 or possibly 10 points. Maybe I play Rue, actually, just to open things up a little bit more. I do want to keep it open. And again, I'm not worried about overlaps, because, like, if he has a J, it's worth 1 point. If he scores 10, it's not a big deal. So this isn't that risky for anything other than bingos. And I think this is fine, because I want to try to be able to get a bingo down as soon as I can. So let's play Rue. Okay. So I draw reasonably. I should be able to bingo, I think. Yeah, I have some nice plays here. I have episodic through this P. And maybe I have 9s as well. I'm not sure. Creditoid direction. Don't play. He plays Jane for 22. Pretty decent score for a non-bingo in this game. So yeah, episodic is a nice play. Do I have anything that doesn't open a triple? Because, I mean, episodic is actually not that many points. Right? Because all of these tiles are worth 1. Normally that would be worth over 80, but in this game, how much is that worth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, it's only 69. Huh. Only 69. And nothing through this O, right? I don't think so. Do I have any 7s other than Ericoid? Ericoid doesn't play hooking rude. Oh, bias side or overside. Yeah, overside is probably a better play. That's not bad. That is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's only 1 less point, amazingly, than episodic, which I know looks crazy. It feels like episodic should be so many more points. Yeah, that has to be a better play, to not open the triple like that for just 1 fewer point. So I think that's fine. Yeah, even if I have a 9, it's not going to score more. In fact, it'll score less. So I don't think there's much of a point to continue looking over there. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and play overside. And it's a pretty even game now. Up 14, but he's got a tempo. 14 is probably about an average score in this game for plays that aren't bingos. Yeah, he plays Yum, which normally is a pretty big play. Normally, that's 35 points, but here it's only 13. And we basically have ourselves a tie game. I am up a point. And what do I want to do? Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm going to miss stuff this game, because I just keep getting drawn to the most natural hotspots. Like, I want to play Kowtow over here for 15, which might not be a terrible play still. I mean, it keeps 2 eyes, so it's probably not worth it. Normally that scores 36 points, though. It's just, I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that it only scores 15. Or something like Wiki normally is a solid 30 or so point play. But here it's only 9. It's just completely mind-bending. I mean, it's pretty cool, though. It's a good challenge. It's just completely bizarre. It's like I have to train myself to not look where I want to instinctively look. Yeah, even Kowtow here would normally be a pretty good play. It's actually more. It's 16 instead of 15. So that's not bad. But yeah, keeping 2 eyes is just not really what I want to do. So yeah, maybe Kiwi or Wiki. So if I play Wiki over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 9. So it's 1 more point if I play it here, or Kiwi. 10 points. Yeah, it's probably worth a 6-point sacrifice to keep LOT instead of LII. It's a lot better. I think that's worth it. It's close, but I think it's worth it. How am I not missing something on the bottom left? I mean, I don't think so. Again, this X is worth 1 point. It's not a scoring spot. Like, it might be more so if it was worth 8. I don't have anything that gets to this triple. So yeah, I think it's a matter of Kiwi/Wiki or Kowtow. I think Kiwi or Wiki is better. Doesn't matter too much which one. I don't feel like. I'll play this. And I draw okay. Like, it's funny, because normally I would say, oh, this is a pretty bad rack, because it's a bunch of 1-pointers that don't make a bingo and don't really go that well together. Well, yeah, it's a bunch of 1-pointers, but everything's a 1-pointer in this game. So this is actually not a terrible rack. Because given they are 1-point tiles, they're easy, like 1-point tiles as in normally 1-point tiles, and easy to use, I should be able to play off more tiles and maybe score a few more points. Like, I could, it's very risky, I could play Pinatal Like, that doesn't even score that many points. That's the thing. That's only 16 points. I'm still just mentally thinking, oh, that scores like high 20s because of the X and the P on the double. But it's actually only 16 points. Maybe retinol here is the way to go. That scores decently well. Well, that actually scores the same as it normally would, other than the D. Is that 22? No. It's not 22. But I was say 23. That's actually a very good score for this game. It does get back an S hook, though. But I also am turning over a lot of tiles and giving myself a decent chance at drawing it. I think it's worth it. Let's go for it. Dang it. Very bad draw. Yeah, really, really bad draw here. I'm feeling more and more like this game is just going to come down to who bingos. Because, I mean, you'll see we've both bingoed twice. And for both of us, the bingos have been by far and away the majority of our scoring. I've scored 130 points off of bingos. He scored 124. So we both only scored roughly 70 of our 200-ish points off of non-bingos. And we've had like 4 times as many non-bingo turns as bingo turns. So that just shows you in this game where scoring without bingoing is really not much of an option in most cases, just how important it is to bingo. So, alright, here I may want to exchange. The S now and the blank are so important for trying to bingo, especially with red nulls on the table. And yeah, like normally you probably play Foy and score 36 points and deal with this DIIU leave. In this game, when Foy scores 12 instead of 36, you definitely don't do that. So I mean, I just don't see anything worth... Actually, I do have an interesting option. I could play Nidify. The idea with Nidify is mainly blocking the S-hook on red nulls for bingos, which does have some merit. I guess I really need to think about who do I think is more likely to hit that spot. And the thing is, like, OU is not the worst leave. It's a pretty constant-heavy pool. We only have, it looks like, 10 vowels out of 28. Well, it's not that constant-heavy. Yeah, 10 and 18. Nidify scores 7 points, which is not a lot. Keeps OU. Turns over a good amount of tiles. If I traded, I'd probably trade 6 and keep just an I again, given there's only one I left and it's somewhat consonant-heavy. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like on one hand, I'm up a little bit. I mean, I'm not up much though. If I score 7, yeah, I'll be up 16. That's not a very secure lead. And now I still do leave a pretty strong bingo line next to Overside on the right over here. And the thing is, if I play Nidify, right, and he bingos, then all of a sudden red nulls is gone and there's pretty quickly going to be nowhere left for me to bingo. So it may be worth, rather than trying to go all in on blocking red nulls or any kind of defense, just kind of leaving it open and being aggressive and hoping that if he does hit one spot, I can draw well and hit the other. So I think exchanging is the play here. I'm going to trade 6. Ugh, that's really bad. Drawing a 1-point Z, a 1-point V. This is actually almost worse than what I just had before. Yikes. Oh boy. So for 2? Wow. And I have this. I mean, I think I have to trade again, right? Just keep an E? Like, he just played so for 2. He's going to bingo. I mean, there's enough spots. I don't think I can count on stopping him, because there's red nulls, now there's the 11 row he just opened, and there's still the M column next to Overside. So, I think... And again, this is not worth 10, this Z, it's worth 1. So, plays that are normally reasonable that would score a bit with the Z are just not reasonable here. So, I mean, I guess I could play Gauze. It's only 13 points, and it keeps IV. I mean, 13 is a reasonable number. I think the thing is, though, like, in this game, I'm not going to outrun him ever if he bingos. If he bingos, he's going to be scoring, like, 65, 70. I need to counter bingo. Yeah, so is such a scary play to deal with. Like, if I play Gauze, I go up 20 and he bingos, I'm going to need to bingo back anyway. I guess the one thing I'm worried about, though, is if I keep trading, I'm not up much, and if he bingos, especially if he hits red nulls, which will score like 80, then a regular bingo might not be enough for me. I may need to score a bit more now to stay within range, so maybe I should play something like Gauze. I do hate getting rid of the E, because they're becoming quite scarce, and it's a really good bingo tile. I think it's a close call between Gauze and Trade 6 keeping an E. It's honestly, I really don't know. I have to assume he's going to bingo immediately on his next turn after so. I have to assume that. And I just feel like I'll be way more poised to respond with a leave of an E than an I and a V. I think I have to trade. I don't want to do it. I think I have to trade again, though. It's close. Yeah, it's definitely debatable. We can sim that one later, but I think I need to trade. Man, I just can't get anything I need here, unfortunately. Just not hitting an S or a blank or really any particularly good bingo tiles. He hasn't moved yet, so that suggests maybe he's actually not bingoing? Is that possible? I guess it's possible. I think it's unlikely. Maybe. Wow, he just plays aft for 5 now. Okay. Wow. So, I mean, I'm still operating under the assumption that he's imminently bingoing. Now I have a decent enough rack, I probably don't have to exchange. I still don't have anything on the bottom left. I feel like I kind of do want to block red nulls in a sense, but I don't even know. I can score reasonably well with Galit, but I don't want to keep FOP. So I probably want to get rid of the letters and flop. Yeah, maybe flop here is reasonable. Only scores 11 points, that's the thing. You could also play off just fop. I could play fop for 12. It's so funny to look at this play and think it only scores 12. There's also poof, which scores 14. That's a little bit more. So poof has, I'm not sure yet if it's an advantage or a drawback, but it blocks the M column. I actually think that's maybe good, because then at least, well, I really don't want him to bingo with red nulls, but if he bingos hooking so, at least it doesn't score that much, and he'll be giving me a lot of floaters back on the right-hand side of the board. So maybe I do want to try to force him to not bingo in the M column. Yeah, so if I want to block red nulls, then, I mean, how do I really go about doing that in a way that's reasonable for my rack? It's hard. I don't want to play top, and that actually gives back the P anyway. So, yeah, I think I should play off the F and the P. Again, the P normally is a pretty good tile because it scores 3 points. In this game, the P is not a particularly great tile. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So yeah, probably flop or fop or poof are all reasonable options. I think I'll go with poof. Okay, I drew the S, which is big. And let's see if Quackle bingos. So, I mean, Quackle must have the blank, right? After those one-tile fishes? Like, it must. Wow. Plays Zen for 3. I feel like did it just draw the Z? I mean, it must have, right? Well, I'm so curious to know what it kept these 3 turns. I really want to look after the game. I'm fairly baffled. I mean, it has to have the blank, right? Like, it's champ. It's not speedy. I don't think it would be fishing like this if it didn't have the blank and have a super high chance of bingoing. I'm still going to operate under the assumption that Quackle's about to bingo, because I think it's the only sensible thing to do. Now, the good thing for me is I have drawn very well here, and I don't have a bingo, but I'll probably just play QAID. Scores decently. It scores 14, getting all those overlaps. And it keeps a very nice leave with AELST. So that seems pretty good to me. Sulky. Okay, Quackle is finally bingoing, but we will be as well. I can just tell based on how fast the progress... It didn't have the blank? What? Get out of here. It had the Q? I am just, like, completely confused. I think I just broke Quackle. What did it have? What on earth? Was it like... Okay, I have a theory. Was it like thinking that... I guess it was maybe still somehow using notions of equity as if the Q and the Z were worth 10? And it couldn't score anything, so it was figuring it would keep both and then try to score more with it? Like, it realized that it couldn't score more immediately because they were worth 1, but it thought that later they would be worth 10? I don't know. That's really weird. I feel like I broke Quackle. There's no way that was correct for it to play Aft and then Zen and then Quinate with no blanks. Wow. Okay, well, I think here there is a blank, but there's a lot of garbage left. So I think what I have to do is just play Soulcate and hope that Quackle can't bingo out. Because there's no other bingos. I'm down 40. I don't have the freedom to not bingo. And we just do this and hope that an out bingo doesn't happen, which it will not. So Grail. And I guess I have Midgut, but that doesn't play. So yeah, let's see if we can figure out the best endgame here. Well, Grail is such a weird looking play, but I guess it saves Ivy in 2 spots, because it has Ivy next to Grail over here, as well as Ivy in the top left. So the top left will score 12, bottom right will score 10. Quinate does not take an S. And yeah, all my tiles are worth 1. Endgames here are just so weird too. So I can score... Like, normally I'd probably play D-Gum, which is not a bad play still. I mean, it's 14. It gets rid of 4 tiles. So the net with D-Gum is +2. Or, +12, I'm sorry. +12. Assuming I don't block up here. I could block up here as well, I guess. I could play Mud. Is that better? So if I play... So Mud is 12. I'd have 2 points left on my rack. So 12 minus 4 is 8. He goes out with Ivy for 10. That's +2 for him. If I play D-Gum, that's a net of 12. He goes out for 12. That's a net of 0. So that's 2 better for me to play D-Gum. And yeah, I don't think Midgut is going to play. How about going here? Mogul? Yeah, I can't use 4 actual tiles there, I don't think. Go Moody doesn't fit. So yeah, if I play Mold or something, or Mogul, then that's only 12, and it keeps 2 tiles. So that's still worse than D-Gum. I feel like D-Gum is probably best. Unless I have an overlap that'll score more. Or how about playing, like, here? Because that also blocks Ivy. How many points is that? It's also just 12, though. It looks like it should be so much more than 12, but it's simply not. Huh. So yeah, I think D-Gum is probably best. And he goes out with Ivy, so... Wow. What a bizarre game. 327-294, I win, final score. Actually, kind of a high-scoring game for everything being a 1-point tile. I guess we both bingoed 3 times, but we were both probably playing for bingos more. Like, I thought we were both going to score in the 200s. So, I really, before we look at the rest of the analysis, I am dying to know what he had here. Wow. AINOQTU. What a fascinating play. I mean, I don't think this is correct. Like, I feel like Quackle is thinking I'm going to probably open more than I will. But, I mean, it does hit a decent amount. Like, C hits Quantic, E hits Quinate, L hits Quintal, R hits Quintar, S hits Quintas. Quintas, rather. I guess it hits a decent amount. See, another problem is I'm often going to block there. I don't know. It just feels so wrong. I guess, though, he just can't score. I don't know. It's such a high variance play. It's a tough play to make. I really would kind of like to see a bit more turnover, though, to try to go for the S or the blank at the same time. I don't know. And then he plays Haft, keeping that lead, and then Zen. Wow, crazy. So he just kept fishing to Quaint. Really interesting. Wow, okay, maybe we'll look at that more in a bit. But yeah, let's look at this. So yeah, I mean, Okay, right. So this notion of equity here, though, guys, in valuation just completely breaks down. And this is why I'm playing against Champ, at least, and not Speedy. Because Speedy would play Twig, which is a terrible play, because in this game, the Z is a terrible tile. In normal Scrabble, the Z is usually a good tile, if not a great tile. But in this game, the Z is a terrible tile because it's worth 1 point instead of 10 points. So playing ZA for 64 points is just not a thing like it often is in a regular game. So the Z is terrible because it's hard to bingo with. So yeah, I think exchanging here, playing Wiz, which doesn't even show up, is better. But yeah, exchanging seems fine. Exchange BM, interesting. Not trading the G. Does it bingo more? I guess it probably bingos more, which is a little counterintuitive. But I guess when you draw an A or an I, EG, NRS is so good. So I guess that's reasonable. Yeah, and again, the notion of equity is just completely breaking down here. Doited isn't crazy. It's still 8 more points, but DEIT is so much more bingo prone that I think that has to be right. He bingos. Tabered. I didn't miss anything, right? No. Yeah, and again, 28 in this game. That's a huge score for a non-bingo, so that's got to be worth it over something like Bree. Plays Lurex for 9. And yeah, Barista, I guess it would have worked out a little bit better in this other spot. I didn't think about not giving back 7s ending in an S, so maybe I should have done that. Tough call. Yeah, Rue here. What else is there? Oxo is also 5. But yeah, like I said, I like the idea of opening it up. I can't score more than 10 anywhere. And I'm not worried about overlaps. Like, normally I'd be like, oh, this gives back easy plays with the J for 40. This gives back easy plays on the L column for 40. But unless he bingos, he's not going to do anything because everything is worth 1 point. So I think Rue is fine here. He plays Jane. Ooh, keeping OQY. Well, he had the Q for a long time. He had the Q for 8 turns. That's crazy. I don't know if I like this play. I mean, yeah, like, Claw is terrible. You probably should exchange here, to be honest. I guess 22 is a lot of points. So maybe exchange or play Jane now and then exchange next turn is also reasonable if you need to. Yeah, and I guess you did draw the U. So Yam is fine. I might have just played Quota, though, to get rid of the Q. Like, I still don't like the Q, even though you have a U. I think I'd probably play Quota for 14. Although MY, maybe not, because, see, I'm thinking to myself, okay, MY is not great for bingoing, but it's good for scoring. But scoring doesn't matter in this game. M and Y are not worth 3 and 4. They're worth 1. Still just adjusting to that in my mind. So yeah, maybe Quota's not a good play then. Maybe Yam is fine. I don't know. Maybe exchanging. Kind of a tough call. Did I miss anything with Overside? Yeah, I saw Episodic and Epidotic as well. But, Idolic. But Overside seems fine just to score a few more. I guess Idolic is more defensive. It doesn't give back bingos. Because the C can't be overlapped. So that's interesting. It's not crazy, to be honest. There's also Ericoid over here. But Idolic is probably better. It's basically an even game. Yeah, it might be better just to not give back bingos and potential overlaps on that column. Unfortunately, I didn't consider it. Once I saw Overside, I just kind of moved on and played it. I think that's clearly still better than playing down here. But I don't know. I'm curious to sim these 4 plays. See what comes out on top. They're all pretty close. It's actually liking the 69-point bingos through the P. Wow, I'm a little surprised for just 1 point. Is it really worth doing that? I mean, the C is not an issue for scoring, but it's still definitely an issue for bingoing. It's really close. I mean, we're talking about 0.1% here in win percentage, the difference between Episodic and Overside right now. So it's really, really close. Idolic is, like I said, also reasonable. I think I'm okay with my play. And then, yeah, Wiki here. I didn't see that. That may be better. The W is so bad, though, in this game. Like, because, again, the W worth 4 points is already a bad tile. So imagine then how bad the W is worth 1 point. So I think Wiki is probably... I wouldn't play it here and open up an S needlessly like that. I think Wiki's still fine. I'll sim Wiki versus Lookit. I feel like Wiki is going to come out on top again, just because this W is so bad in this game. Yeah. Pretty much jumps right up. It's not a huge difference. It's about about 0.5% to 1%. Now even less. Yeah, it's actually now finally pulling away a little bit more. It's a bit over 1%. But yeah, okay, it's close-ish. The 8 points is significant, but the W is just so bad in this game that I think Wiki and getting rid of it makes sense. Yeah, I'm really just not liking how long Quackle's holding onto this Q. I feel like I would have played Peak over here, which also sets up a T-hook pretty nicely. It's just that, again, the Q, even with the U, you're very rarely bingoing with it, and it's not a scoring tile because it's worth 1 point. The Q is so bad in this game. It's bad in regular Scrabble, and it's just so beyond bad in this game that, like, I don't know, was Quackle thinking it would bingo with the Q? Was Quackle just not accounting for the fact that it only scored 1 point when it was simming? I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, I feel like it would account for the fact that it was 1 point, so I'm not really sure what it was thinking here, but I don't like that play at all. Yeah, red null, I think... Oh, I didn't say re-oil. Yeah, that's probably better just to keep it a little tighter. Red null is maybe a bit too aggressive. Turning over some more tiles is nice, though. But yeah, this is just way too risky. I unfortunately didn't see re-oil. That's a fairly significant mistake, just really needlessly blowing the board open. I have a small lead. There's no reason to do this. Like, yeah, I am turning over a lot of tiles, but he's also had a few plays since his last bingo. He could easily have an S or the blank. I should say the S or the blank, because there's only one S still left. But yeah, I mean, just a bit unsound here. So this is probably my first real mistake of the game. Hopefully my last one. Yeah, this is definitely not worth it. Much better off exchanging. Again, the D and the F are only worth 1, so the F in particular is a pretty bad tile. And yeah, once again, just the notion of equity here is meaningless. The Z is a horrible tile. So, I mean, Vogue isn't horrible, I guess. But yeah, I think you're better off just not doing this, keeping the Z, but trading 6, keeping the E. I mean, Gauze is not unreasonable, but the V is also so bad as well. Like, again, the V is something that's already a bad tile in regular Scrabble and worth 4 points is an even worse tile in this game. So the V is just absolutely awful. Oof is not a good play because the P is not particularly good. It's not a bad tile in Scrabble. It's a decent tile, but that's when it's worth 3 points. When it's worth 1 point, it's not particularly good. I mean, it's not as bad as a V, don't get me wrong, but it's not good. This has to be right, yeah. And then I just have to bingo and hope he can't bingo out. Let's see, did I make the best endgame play with D-Gum? Tied, yeah, Turgum or TDM as well. So, okay, pretty weird game. I think overall I played well, other than red and all. That was just a bit too reckless. Ended up working out okay for me, but I should have just played re-oil. I feel like Quackle did not play well. I feel like it held the Q for 8 turns, which is almost always an indication that he should have gotten rid of it earlier. It did eventually bingo with it with QAID, but I don't know. I think counting on a bingo with a QU when the Q is only worth 1 point is just not smart. So I think that definitely backfired for Quackle. I would have personally liked to see Quackle get rid of it as early as probably the Jane or the Yam turn even, like 6 turns ago. And we'll never know what would have happened, but I do think it would have worked out probably a little bit better for Quackle. So, yeah, pretty interesting, though. A lot of kind of mind-bending decisions there, like where I normally gravitate towards one spot and have to remind myself, hey, that tile's only worth 1 point, or hey, the triple only scores 12, not 40. Like, really, really weird. So, definitely interesting and a great brain exercise. I enjoyed doing that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and got a kick out of it. So, I will definitely try to come up with similar ideas soon. And, yeah, I think that's it for this one, guys. So once again, thanks for watching, and please do keep the suggestions for these modified Scrabble variants coming. One of my subs actually suggested this variant, so shout out to them for the suggestion. And, yeah, keep them coming, and I will see you soon for the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.